All right. So for tomorrow, you guys are going to want to have a few different things. And let me just adjust this camera a little bit as well. You're going to want to have your 3 to 4 slabs that are going to go together. Remember, we said like about the size of a Post-it. About that. Either will work. When they are all finished, you guys can just, either use them as table decorations. We could put some cork on the back, and you could use it like a little coaster. We could also attach, after they're fired, a little hook so that you can use it to hang on your wall. So those are a few different ideas as far as these texture tiles go of what you can do. Stamp making. I had up for the extra credit question of the day. What do you think that our stamps need? Why do you think that our stamps need to be dry or ideally bisqued if we were at school? All right, we wanted to print a nice texture. We don't want it to stick, so the either bone dry clay or the bisque clay will absorb a little bit of the moisture, and then they won't stick together. You guys, kind of the same answers. Really good though, really well thought out. Exactly, it would just make a smooth print because it's just going to compress the two soft clays together, and you're not going to be able to get a nice stamp. Now, ideally, what I would do is, yes, we're going to make the stamps out of clay. So even if you guys want to grab a little bit of clay now, you can. This was my demo from block 1. Now block 2. Now keep in mind, this is just like practice. So when you guys make your stamps and they harden up a little bit, take a piece of clay, just like a flat piece of clay, and practice. See what you like, what kind of textures you want to use. So I started imprinting some different stamps into this that I made yesterday. And then this was my other side. So I have quite a few different things in here. And stamps are really fun because you can use one as like the center of something, and then use multiples and do like a radial design. And then we'll also go in with different tools and make textures that way. So these are all right here, some little stamps that I made yesterday. They're really simple. I did them right after this class. And I just grabbed a few little tools and made these little stamps. Now I let them dry out overnight. If you guys make them now, they should be good for tomorrow or later on tonight possibly. And these were the ones that I made in second block, just kind of as a demo piece. So I can't use these just yet. You could see the difference in color. So you want them to be bone dry. You don't want them to be like in this leather hard or fresh state. Once they look like this and they start turning white, perfect. You could go ahead and use them. And you could also bring them back when we come back to school and I can fire them. All right, so I have this little practice slab here. And you always want to have something to hold on to for your stamp. I'm going to show you guys how to make the stamps in a few minutes. But pressing them in, you're going to get the impression that's the opposite of what you carved. You can make multiple different sizes. I think I might make more little ones like this because they turned out to be like really quite cute. And I like to practice with stamps because you never know how they're gonna turn out. For instance, I made this one and I was like, oof, that's kind of rough. I don't know how I feel about it. But then when I went in before on my other piece of clay and pushed the stamp in, I kind of really liked it. It looked like a little lattice piece or something. It was really quite interesting. So make a bunch, and they're really, really quite simple. Take some of your extra clay that you had when you cut off the edges of your tiles and break it into little sections, and you're just gonna coil it in between your hand. Make something like that.
There's clay, and do the tiles have to be circular? Could they be like a different shape?
You could do like a square, or what did you have in mind?
A triangle.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so once I get a little shape like that, almost like a little Tootsie Roll, I'm gonna just bang it down on the table and kind of pinch this part together to make sure that I have a nice area to grip onto. From here, you can go ahead and you could shape this. So you could, you know, tap it out and make it into like a rectangular shape. You can really like mold it. I think this one I'm gonna make like more of like an abstract shape. So I'm going to just smooth some clay down from the sides. You can also add a little bit of clay on if you want to. And then we'll have to tap it down again. So I'm just smoothing this out. I just kind of want to create something a little bit more organic, because all of my other stamps I made so far were kind of circular. So once you have a nice flat surface like this, you could go ahead and you could create your texture. Now think of different things that you have. Of course, we're gonna go into our tiles and texture them with things other than stamps for the most part, unless you have like a bunch of stamps you made and you wanna just use those, that's fine. But I kind of went around the room before and I looked for like different things. I found like these little nails and screws and things like that. So I think I'm gonna press that into there. And you know what? I'm gonna take this little guy and I'm gonna impress it in, coming out from these 3 different directions that I made. And you could have fun with these because you know what? It's just kind of scrap clay. I think I'm gonna then go in the center and make a circle. And I have a little stamp like that. Now I'll have to wait until it dries out before I go ahead and actually imprint it into the clay, but that didn't take too long and I might have something really, really cool. Now, sometimes you may want to create a very specific shape. Just tap that out again. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna kind of squeeze this one like that, and I'm gonna do more of like an oval. And then I'm just gonna use different tools that I have around me to make some interesting things. I think I'm gonna use the end of this wooden tool to almost go in and make like little divots. And overlap them. So it's almost gonna make something like a rainbow effect. But, well, not with rainbow colors, but overlapping. Smooth it up, and then got my little stamp like that. have fun with these guys. It's, you know, really meant to be a creative project. I want you guys to have fun with this. I want you to make some really nice, interesting little stamps. And I already saw a few of you guys posted your stamps with your tiles, and they were looking really good. But make sure that you please, please, please post your smooth tiles so I could see what you guys got. Now, you can make larger stamps, you can make smaller stamps. If you want to create a bunch of small stamps, that could be really cool. You can also do, I kind of like doing like the little circular things, but I like overlapping them so that they're not exact. And this way, having, you know, maybe I'll go in and do a few of these. Having like some deeper holes and some shallow holes, you'll get really cool things too, because your clay you're working with is gonna be soft. Kind of have that. So as for like little tiny ones, same exact thing. But you might also want to think about the clay you're working with. You want to think of the direction that you want your lines to flow. You're going to want to think about, you know, do I want to use a bunch of little stamps and kind of create my whole entire piece like that? And maybe you don't have a set idea going in, and maybe creating a bunch of these stamps, when you go in tomorrow and you make impressions, you'll start to develop ideas. I think that these really will help inspire you if you were struggling a little bit, thinking of exactly what you wanted your texture tiles to look like. And for this one, I'm gonna go in and I'm actually gonna carve away. Now, when you're carving these, it might be a little bit difficult to carve them at first because the clay is fresh. And I was just using a pencil earlier. And I am going to carve in, I already did like some with lines going outwards, so let me do like those. Maybe I'll do like different V shapes. I like that, like a little chevron print. But you could see all those little crumblies in there. We don't want those crumblies. So do your best to take them out now, but tomorrow, when they're all dry, you should be able to just kind of brush those off. So got another little stamp. So working with my stamps that I already made and I can use, practice different compositions. I'm gonna take this little piece too. So have your clay tools on you tomorrow. Have anything, when I kind of sent you on your little scavenger hunt, anything that you found to make textures. And I'm gonna go in with this one first. And I wanna do something a little bit more organic. So I like these two little circular ones the best, and I like this little wave one. I think that'll be cute. So I'm gonna go in with this stamp, and I like to overlap it a little bit sometimes too. And you can smooth between your stamps as well if you want to create a little bit of a picture. Then maybe I go in with, so I have this right now. Then maybe I go in with this tool and kind of continue that pattern. But you never want to have any little crumblies on either your stamps or your tiles. whether it be that you have to go in and remove them later, or that you could get it out now. So I'm just going in and I'm gonna bring all the way up this different texture, and I'm just kind of pressing this tool in. And you don't have to texture the whole tile. If you have a specific design in mind or want just, you know, partial of the tile, maybe you want 3 of them really like filled with design and 1 of them a little bit more simplistic. So I'm gonna add that, kind of going up the side. And just have fun with it, play around. This is just practice. So once you guys have your stamps, before you go on to your final one, practice. Take any of that extra clay you have and have some fun. So I almost feel like now I kind of came up with like a little landscape or something. Now we're gonna be using the Celadon glazes, and they're very transparent. So you can see all of the little intricate textures that you guys made. Think about different things too. I found this little nail. Think about maybe rolling things. Maybe I'll roll this in this direction now. So different things like that could work. I don't know if I love this, honestly, but you could then also go in and you could modify it and kind of like, you know, I feel like these are very meditative, especially when you're at first just working on your little sample one, because you could just get really free and really creative and then take those ideas and implement them into your final piece. Maybe I'll go in and I'll even like scrape a little bit of this out. But kind of have some movement in your piece. So that's kind of where I'm going now. I'm gonna go in this one. It's kind of geometric, and what I did for this was just made my little stamp, and I actually pressed an object into it rather than carving away. I just used one of these and I just pushed into the surface. Now, if you wanted more of like a rounded one, you could do that and actually round the edges and maybe get like more of like a floral type look rather than such an industrial look. And then just smooth that out all around the edges. But I'm gonna go in with this little leaf. I'm gonna smooth this one out. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go in with this little leaf type pattern. Maybe I'll bring that around. And having a lot of stamps to work with, especially like a lot of extra little mini stamps, it really helps you then when you go in to do like some of your little detail stuff. I might go in now and use my rib tool, kind of make some lines. And think about it. Maybe you have like some little shells at home. Think about other tools, other materials that you could press into the clay to create an ideal design for yourself. But, you know, some kind of interesting things. But this is just practice. So this was just a test, kind of see where I want to go with it. And you could see throughout the day today, I made quite a few different test tiles. So experimenting. And then my other one, experimenting, just practice on a smushed extra piece of clay. All right, so we're gonna make a bunch of stamps so that tomorrow they are all bone dry and ready to use. And then we'll work on starting to apply textures.